Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's have a little chit-chat. Philip Sapong is a business consultant with the Pinnacle Development Alternative. You're welcome.
Thank you, Gifty.
Okay, now let's start talking about money. Try and break it down so that those of us who don't like figures a lot can understand as well. We're looking at over 400,000 students who have gone on. So let's assume that we're looking over 400,000 households have had the burden of paying for school fees taken off of them. How much, in your estimation, will a particular household be able to make in a year? If they were, I mean, of course, having to make savings from this particular policy, or having to make savings because of this particular policy?
All right. We cannot look at the household as a uniform entity,
okay,
because households differ from
okay.
They are poor household, they are middle income household, they are rich household. In fact, there are households who don't see any benefit for not paying. Because the amount that they are not paying is just a drop in the ocean.
Okay.
So we have to put everything into context.
Okay.
So, but if we come home, we know that we are talking about 1,000 per term.
Per term.
And we have 3 terms.
Yeah.
And so we expect a family to find alternative use for that money that is supposed to be saved.
Okay, so let's assume that we're dealing with 1,000 cedis. Now, government says that it's not just paying for the school fees. It's paying for the school fees and it's providing school uniforms and it's providing a few things. So let's assume that if you were to buy all of those things, you'll be hitting, let's say, 1,000 plus. Yeah. Let's leave it at 1,000 cedis. For 3 terms, if you're paying 1,000 cedis a month, a term, for 3 terms, you're saving 3,000. Yeah. What are the alternatives for... what's your advice as a business consultant to parents who may be having to keep this money rather than paying it to the government?
One of the secret to financial success is savings, and any opportunity that you get to save must be grabbed.
Okay. Unless
there's no alternative. So now you have opportunity to forego the payment of 1,000 times 3 times in a year.
Right.
So you have 3,000. So you can decide to save. Right. And the money originally is for the children, and the education is not ending at SSS.
Right.
So from there will be something tertiary.
Right.
So a typical family can decide to save. You can use it in a diverse way. Okay. One can decide that, okay, our welfare in this family is not that great. So we are not going to save everything for the future. Okay. Somebody says in the future we are all dead. So, so for example, for 1,000, you can say, let me save 500.
Okay.
And the 500 can be for the child tertiary education. You can opt for child education policy.
Right.
Or if you are disciplinary enough, financially disciplined, then you can do it yourself. But when you are doing
save the money at home.
At home. Okay. But that is risky, because when something hits you, you go and dip your hands into it. So, so for example, if you are saving 500 for each term,
right,
that's a year is 1,500. Assuming that you invest at the TB rate and the long-term TB rate, let's be very conservative, 10%. Yeah. So for the 3 years, you are talking about 4,500.
Okay, so you could have moved from within 3 years that your award would have been at the senior high school.
That you'll be paying.
Yes.
Assuming it's a constant fee.
And assuming you were just saving half of the amounts that you were to pay for the school fees, which were paying at 500. Within the 3 years, by the time your award would have finished SHS, and if you did invest in, say, treasury bills, you would have been making somewhere around...
the principal saving will be 4,500.
Okay. No, so if you're saving 500 every term.
So that a year will be 1,500, 3 years will be 4,500. And then let's make it very conservative, 10% on 8. So the first year, this is a very crude calculation.
Yeah.
So in the first year, you are making 10% on 1,500. So that 1,500 is going to save for 3 years.
Right.
So you can do 10% compounding for that one.
Right.
That, and then the year 2, you save another 1,500. That will be in savings for 2 years.
Okay.
And then the year 1, you save 1,500. That will be in a saving for 1 year. So if you use 10%, if my mind is working well, it should be giving you about 5,500.
You should be getting like 5,500.
That is, you are getting an interest of 10%.
Okay.
And there are a lot of opportunities that can give you more.
That can give you money. Let's look at finally look at the investment options available that parents could take advantage of. What would you advise as available options that you can put this money? I mean, of course, saving it at home is a nice way, but it's not the best, obviously.
Of course.
Putting it in T-bills, I mean, I would say it's not 50-50 because the T-bills have gone down.
Yeah.
Because now the treasury bill rate is not very attractive at the moment, even though it's good for government. It's not very attractive for investors. But what other options do you advise? Or would you advise that parents could put this money in whilst they wait for their children to go to to the tertiary level so they can support them with that kind of money?
Okay. The first one I said was the child education policy.
Child education policy.
Yes,
okay.
So that you can take from any of the insurance companies. And some of the banks also provide special rates for child savings. So you can open an account for your child. Of course, the child cannot sign unless it is 18. And so that money will be there, and then you can negotiate an appropriate interest rate with the bank. So one way or the other, that's the way I think you can go about it.
But isn't that quite limited? I mean, just child education policy and going to the banks to find out what policies it is that they have. Can't you invest in any other like investment policy? I mean, even if it's not education related.
Yes, you can do.
What are some of the options available?
No, we talk about the T-bill, which we talk about. So you can invest in equities, you can invest in bonds, and these are formal investments.
Those are formal investments.
Most of us in Ghana operate at the informal level.
Okay.
You can have a small corner shop that you can turn around 1,000 times 5 times in a year. Because the kind of returns that micro businesses are making are so huge. That is why they are able to take loans at 5% to 10% a month. So anybody who is operating at an SME level, their incomes, their returns are quite high.
Okay.
And so if you are not risk averse, then you can go into that. Those who want to maybe afraid that their money will get lost or in the business, then they will say, okay, let me go to T-bill, let me go to insurance company. Those are formal, and then the returns are quite minimal.
Reasonable.
Yeah, because the risk is almost zero.
Yeah. Okay.
So where there's much risk, you expect
there's more money.
That's right.
So parents should be looking out for some of these options available, and look at how they can invest what they would have to invested in their children's education. What are your own thoughts about the free SHS policy, by the way?
I think it's a good policy.
I mean, from a financial or from a business, strategic business sort of approach.
Well, that's a wide thing to discuss here, because my mind has just gone around 360 degrees. Because there are people who are selling books, pens, pencils, school uniforms, shoes, and some of these things are going to be taken over by government for years. So it depends upon the government procurement policy. For example, if the government decides to do a centralized procurement for school uniforms, for textbooks, for textbooks surely, for exercise books, if government does a centralized procurement, then the business people at the grassroots are going to suffer.
They're going to suffer.
Because somebody is sitting there, he expects that a parent should come and buy about 25 exercise books. It doesn't come that way.
So this has the potential of injuring grassroots level, I mean, like tabletop sort of businesses who are into education material.
Yeah, so maybe government, I believe they actually know
they have a plan.
The impact.
Well, they better do.
And then, so that they'll know that, okay, fine. Looking at the system that we have about so much thousands of people selling educational materials to school children, to this and that. So should we take the business from them, or should we find a way that they will be inclusive of all the policies? I think it's a matter for them to think about.
It's a matter for them to think about. Thank you so much for passing through the studio, Mr. Sapong. I've been speaking with a financial analyst. We're talking about how you can look at investing or saving that money that you would hitherto be pushing into education. Now that free SHS is here, we're thinking of how you can invest into the future of your children's education. In fact, you can even ignore the education bit, but you still have to invest so that you don't go, you don't spend the money. Well, like he's saying, there are some who would really not have a problem because this money isn't really much for them. But for those for whom it is much, think of investing. You can look at child education policies. It says you can get to the bank. Sometimes they have special opportunities for you to save for your children's education. You can look at that as well. But he's also calling for government to be inclusive of the small businesses who are into education material, those who provide education material for children. Now that government is going to provide all of these, what are these people going to do? Will it damage their businesses? Government will have to bring them in. Thank you very much once again for coming, Mr. Sapong.
Thank you, I'm good.
Well, away from that, we're still dealing with education, and I'm asking you whether or not you still remember your first day at school. Well, as most schools across the country open today for the 2017 and 2018 academic year, we have visited the Police Depot School here in Accra to find out how these fresh pupils are being welcomed for the first time. MFA Nancy Dradosi was at the primary and kindergarten schools and now reports. This is how the news team was welcomed by the fresh Class 1 pupils of the Police Depot Primary 1 and 2. How old are you?
6 years.
You are 6 years old. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good. So you left KG2 to Class 1, and next year you'll be going to Class 2. Have you told Mommy thank you?
Yes.
When did you tell her?
Thank you.
How old are you?
5.
5. You're in Class 1. Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
You're excited?
Yes.
So when you were coming to school, what did Mommy do for you? Did she buy you a new shoe, new dress? What did she buy for you?
She bought me a new shoe.
What is your favorite rhyme when you were in KG2?
Fox, fox, fox.
Can you say it?
Yes.
Okay, say telling me here.
Fox, fox, fox. Go into the box. No, no, no. Why? Because I am too big.
Today is Tuesday. 12 September 2017.
Pupils 1 teacher, Grace Ofori, tells us how excited she is to have these children in her class.
In fact, handling these children, you will like it because they are new, and whatever you teach them, they love it. You teach with songs, actions, and then they will love you. So, in fact, I like teaching in P1.
The headmistress of the school, who also doubles as a visiting Class 1 teacher, tells us she learns to accommodate some of the things they do.
And when they come initially like this, we take them out and then show them where we should pace. If you want to go to private, where you should go. Else you see someone doing anything anyhow. But when they come first week, second week, that one, if you are not experienced teacher, you think you can't handle Class 1. If some of them will even tear their books into pieces. When you give pencils, they can break it. One person can sharpen the pencil, it will finish. All these things, we accept them.
One thing that usually accompanies the first day at school is the presence of the parents in the schools with their awards.
I'm very happy to my kids for going to Class 1 and God to protect so many things. And I'm happy for the school. So they should go on and learn, teach for the children to learn very well.
To me, Uncle Drew baby and Uncle me pet. Into me person me bano dear, or to me call no pat me home. So be a bear that dachino, no so be ye ni petit ruby. A war me.
Soon it was time for break time, so we had to leave them for them to go for their lunch. We then took a walk to the nursery school, where we really want to call this my first day at school, as these children are in the classroom for the first time in their lives. The pupils teacher tells me that though the job is difficult, she enjoys what she does.
It's very tedious work, but I'm managing. Since they are all my children and grandchildren, I'm managing.
These are fresh students. Yes. What are your expectations for them, even though they are not minding me and everything?
Okay, since they've brought them, I will also prove my skills and then try to manage and let them speak and then do whatever they can do in the classroom to achieve their aims.
Pa, give me. Pa. So that's it here at the Police Depot Nursery School, where we are bringing you, the first day these children are setting their foot in the classroom. For me, I am MFA Nancy Jadose reporting for Joy News.
And here in the studio, I'm Gifty and Opia. We're moving on with more education stories. Available statistics suggest that Ghana has made a lot of progress in general school enrollment over the period. Over the past decade, however, according to a UNICEF report, the rate of enrollment has slowed down. This means quite a number of children of school-going age are currently out of school. Cost is one of the many reasons accounting for the phenomenon. In the following report, JoyNews' Emefa Ewenam Etiamwa Eli visits Mamobi, a densely populated community right here in the heart of Accra, and reports that as the 2017-2018 academic calendar for basic schools commenced today, some parents are still in a dilemma over their ability to enroll their wards.
In October 1996, as part of educational reforms, Ghana initiated the Free Compulsory Universal Basic Education Program, F-Cube. The program, among many others, was intended to expand access to good quality basic education, as well as promote efficient teaching and learning. It's been 21 years down the line. Some children are still yet to step in school. I've been finding out why. This is Mamobi. It is one of Accra's famous densely populated slums. There are hundreds of educational facilities here, mostly privately owned. The public schools are few. Today, I am here to meet two parents who are still struggling to enroll their wards in school, though they are of school-going age. Ajia Zainab is a mother of two. 5-year-old Ernest is her first child, followed by 2-year-old Gloria. Patience Aiku is a mother of 4. 15-year-old Grace is her first child, and an 8-month-old baby girl is her 4th child. Ernest is 5 years old. He is currently not in school. His mother, Ajia Zainab, is a single parent. She sells orange. She doesn't remember the last time her husband remitted the family, so she's forgotten about him. She tells me thoughts of watching her children remain home while their mates go to school for yet another academic year is very troubling for her.
If I had the means, I would enroll them, but I don't know how. If I have to enroll them now, I need to buy their uniform, footwears and bags. It's a big worry to me. Every child will be in school as school reopens, but these two will continue to sit at home all alone.
Little Ernest dreams to become a celebrated footballer. With much difficulty, I managed a conversation with him in Chi to share his aspirations with me.
What do you want to become in future? Who is Asamoah?
Ajia and her children, like many others here, can best be described as squatters. The obscure nature of their abodes leaves much to be desired. There is little or no room at all for movement and comfort. Patience Aiku has a similar challenge. Unlike Hajia, Patience has 4 children. 15-year-old Grace is her firstborn. Grace is in and out of school. She works to support herself occasionally. 5-year-old Frances is Patience's 3rd born. Frances is also not in school. Patience says she just can't afford.
I don't have any help. Their father abandoned them. I would have to buy some items to enable them be in school, like uniform, books, pay some school fees.
Patience is not happy her children are not in school. She is also unhappy about the community in which she is raising her children.
Life here is difficult. You will work and work, but it never goes well. Always quarrels, and the things you dislike are those that happen here. The children also loiter around causing trouble, and you have to ensure peace all the time. It is very worrying. I would wish to relocate the entire family to Kaswa.
Patience is currently nursing an 8-month-old baby girl. She's not sure about her education in the future. The same applies to Ajia Zainab, who is also unsure if she will be able to enroll her youngest child, Gloria, in school when she's ready. For the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, these children are really missing out as long as they stay out of school.
If the child starts school at 4, by age 6, the child should be able to read, she should be able to write, she should be able to interact with the peers, and that also promotes that self-confidence in the child.
Amafa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli for Joy News, Accra.
Asamoah should certainly look for that little boy and perhaps give him some support to become like him. We're still talking education, and in January this year, the Breman Jamra Methodist School's crèche block collapsed and killed 6 kindergarten children. The public are prohibited on government after that incident seemed to have yielded much result, because although it's taken a long 8 months, a new classroom block has been completed and launched for the school. There's more in this report filed by Adom FM's Alfred Amo from Breman Jamra.
It was a normal school day. Sounds of usual noise of children hoping to become leaders of Ghana's future until they were silenced by death, with the building crumbling down on them. All that remained were bloody floors and wailing mothers.
The children were very scared. They thought that when they came here, the building might collapse on them.
So when you sit here, how do you feel?
We feel very scared. When the teacher is even teaching, we can't concentrate on it because we thought that if the building can collapse at any time.
I feel very sad. When I sat in this building, I could not even concentrate on what the teacher is teaching. And when it rains heavily, we have to pack all our tools and move to the KG.
It has taken 8 months, but alas, there's a new classroom block for the pupils of Brema Gemara Methodist Basic School. The 200,000 ultra-modern KG facility comes with 2 classrooms, an office and a storeroom. With this, these young ones won't have to learn fearing for their lives. Neither will they have to skip school for the same reasons. Here is Chief of Brema Gemara, Nana Kwaofosu III.
When the incident occurred, a lot of people promised to reconstruct the school block, but they never showed up. We thank Gold Key Building Prestige for their gesture.
The 12 units classroom block for both primary and GHS students was also renovated, whilst contractors Gold Key Properties Limited adopted the school to develop it further. Cynthia Odunum is Executive Director of Gold Key Properties Limited.
Collapsed on children as young as ages between 2 and 5 and had actually killed them, not just injured them. We heard it from JoyNews. We heard it from JoyNews, and it was a very sad story for us. Touched our heart, and so we decided to come into this district to see what we could do to help, because we found out that the building was still outstanding. And for me, the trauma that the kids had gone through, I thought that they needed something to lift their spirits. And so we came in to get things in place, put the block up, a new one for them, adopt the school, look at other things that needed renovation works to be done, and we took it upon ourselves and we did.
The DC for Isukuma Odobim Brakwa Isaac Kudum commended the multimedia group and its media brands for what it says put governments on its toes and pushing for completion of the project. On her part, the Deputy Minister of Education, Barbara Ashaisi, has tasked the school authorities to be alert to any faults on the school building and report same to higher authorities on time.
They have shown us that indeed they are very alive to the corporate social responsibilities and that they truly do care about the society in which they operate. There can be no higher attribute or nobler act than giving back to society and making life better for the underprivileged.
Alfred Amos report for JoyNews.
That's certainly refreshing news that students will have to, or pupils will be able to learn without being afraid that they might die in the next minutes. Well, let's return to the Free SHS story. Actually, we're learning of a very disturbing story in the northern region where a school was unable to register all of the students that were posted there. We understand that the rest of the students who weren't able to be registered are being turned away. Martina Bugri is on the line for more, with more on this. Hello, Martina.
Hi, Gifty.
What's the situation?
The school is St. Charles Senior High School. You know, yesterday in the afternoon when I was reporting, I said that they had a situation because there was no accommodation. They had converted a dining hall to accommodate 150 students because one of their dormitory blocks had burnt down. Okay. And so today when parents came and they were admitted, when they got to the 150 number they wanted, they turned the rest away. And parents are agitating, they are calling on government to intervene. But I spoke to the headmaster and he says that there is nothing the school can do. He had already called the secretariat to inform them that he can take only 150 students. Okay. Anything above that, he will not be able to accommodate them. And so until the dormitory is fixed, there's no way he can take more people. And so the parents are stranded, about 100 students now. They don't have a place.
That's a lot. What's the district education director saying about this?
Just a while ago, we learned of the situation, and so we are yet to get to the DES to get their reaction to this issue.
Well, thank you very much, Martina, for that update. Well, how about to end the story of free SHS with that particular story? But certainly it's a developing story. We'll bring you much more on that. You're watching The Pulse with me, Gift up here. I'm going to take another quick break. When I return, I'll tell you about how someone is looking to save 40 children with hole in heart. Please stay with me.